Thank you.
So,
Hindi ka naririnig. Hindi na tayo naririnig.
yeah, can everybody see this? Yes?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. So, hi, I'm Jerry Ezum. I'm a family and sports medicine doctor and been invited by Lydia and some of the other Lions to head up the Lions Camp diabetes program. And so I'm also, wear a lot of hats. I'm a core faculty at the family medicine residency program here at Temecula Valley Hospital. So it's part of something called UHS SoCal MEC. So we have family medicine, internal medicine. This is us doing some ultrasound, but then we are going to be doing emergency medicine as well as OBGYN. And at the full build, we should have a complement of about 300 residents. So the goal is to bring access to quality healthcare in a culturally sensitive manner. And our family medicine focus is on trying to nudge away diabetes. Let me see if I can get this to go. I guess I'll have to do it this way. So one of the things, those of you that are new, we did put out this book over the summer, and this is a compilation really thanks to Lydia, who was instrumental in getting together a group, and it's students starting from high school, college, even medical school and residency. And this is our program. And so we will be going over the website today, but very excited. This book is on Amazon. It's $20 for the paperback. We have a Kindle version, and we also have an Audible version. Sometime will be uploaded. It's being uploaded, but it hasn't gone yet. But all the proceeds go to Lions Club International Diabetes Camp. So we're very excited. And this sort of is scholarly work that the residents have been involved with. So this is the enemy, diabetes. And I'm going to be giving grand rounds for Loma Linda's limb preservation program. And next month, we have Dr. Santoa talking about their preservation program. And they're very excited about what we're doing. We're excited about what they're doing. And we're trying to help people basically keep their feet. It's the number one, most diabetics unfortunately pass away of heart disease. So if you can cure diabetes, you cure a lot of other things. It's the number one cause of blindness. It's the number one cause of kidney failure and stroke. So for all these reasons, I think it's worth us, especially Lions, really trying to serve to resolve diabetes. So it kind of all started way back when. I mean, diabetes wasn't that bad until we sort of, essentially the government got involved, and we thought that carbohydrates were good and fats were bad. And they started and many of you with the gray hair like I have, know when it started. It was like in 1980, and they launched the the dietary guidelines. And it's been just an epic failure. You could see exactly the inflection point of when that happened and what the problem is. So it was a good try. We thought we were doing the right thing, and unfortunately, it was absolutely the wrong thing to do. So we thought carbs were good and fats were bad, and essentially we got it backwards. And this is a nice graph that shows sort of what's happening. And not only are we're actually less overweight than we are obese. So it has to do with what your body mass index is. And once you're over 30, you're considered obese. But basically, obesity is going up. But at the same time, we're actually having severe obesity going up quite a bit. So it's actually called diobesity. It's obesity causing diabetes, and the diabetes causing obesity. So there's a big question of which came first, but they're definitely march hand in hand, and that's something we want to kind of work on. I did want to show you this from, there's a different doctors that I follow, but this poor lady was trying to be on a low calorie diet that was low fat. And so you can see the parameters here. She's on a 1,200 calorie diet, 150 grams of carbs, and and she had a very low fat diet. And unfortunately, she wasn't able to really improve her situation. What is working is where you realize that probably the healthy fats are the fuel of choice for humans. And just recently, this just came out in October, that the nutritionists call for a dietary guideline, that you don't have to limit it. So before they said you can only have so much healthy fats. And now basically that is going away, that they realize they were wrong in doing that. And so this gives us, again, permission to do what we're doing, where we encourage a low carb, healthy fat, or healthy oil type diet. And this is another one that isn't very old, just came out in 2020, that talks about the effects of the ketogenic diet on glycemic control, which is blood sugar control, insulin resistance, and it's a systemic approach or a systemic review and of all the different diet research results. And if you look at the conclusion, KD is a ketogenic diet, which means fat burning, has a therapeutic effect on blood sugar and cholesterol control among patients with type 2 diabetes, and significantly contributes to their weight loss. So yet another sort of research that shows that we're on the right track. And then this is this lady, same lady, but instead of 1,200 calories, she's doubled her calories, cut her carbs from 150 to 3 carbs, increased her fats from 40 fats to 197 fat, and she's lost a ton of weight. So the deal is, it's not calories, it's carbohydrates. Let me say that one more time. It's not calories, it's carbohydrates, because it's all about insulin, it's about hormones. It's not a math problem, it's not calories. That's never worked. Low cal, high carb has never worked in the 50 years, and that it's time to look at the hormones and what they do. So I thought this was kind of a very poignant picture. And then this is a family doctor out of Britain who's been doing this for 6 years. He's been prescribing a low carb, healthy fat diet for 6 years. And this article came out in the British Medical Journal just in November, showing that, that a general practice doctor who does this shows significant improvement in his type 2 diabetics and also in the pre-diabetics. Most people are pre-diabetic for 10 years before they actually hit the threshold of diabetes. So the damage is being done for 10 years before we even know it. So very exciting. And that's one of the criticisms of this nutrition program, is that it's not sustainable. But this has been sustainable for 6 years. I've been on it for 13 years. I've had a heart attack when I was, not officially an attack, but I had to get a stent when I was on a vegetarian diet. That's how I got into all of this. So the good news is it's sustainable. The food is great, but the research is new, and a lot of this is nutrition. And that's one of the things that we as doctors don't get a lot of training on. And that's what we're trying to change. And so in conclusion, doing this for 6 years, there were statistically significant improvements in both weight, hemoglobin A1C, lipid profile, and blood pressure. And where this is getting noticed by the government and insurances is that it significantly lowers drug budget savings. I got asked by my insurance company, how do my patients have the best A1C, and yet I spend the least amount on prescription drugs? And I told them, because I probably spend the most time on nutrition. And now with the Lions Club International, we have resources to help these people, that we've changed the research into a resource. And one of the big ones is our book. And I would really love if you guys all bought the book, because half the money goes to the Lions Club, half goes to Amazon. But it is sort of playing out what we're doing. And what we're very excited about is what Lydia alluded to, is that we are improving our website. So this is our website. As you can see in the bottom, it's very exciting that the new family doctors are getting involved with this. So we're very excited that we're sort of bringing people along. You can see Dr. Anzel, who talked the last time, is here. And so we're very excited of what we're doing. What I wanted to switch over now to, may take a little bit. Let me figure this out here. Sorry. Let's see. Sorry. Talk amongst yourselves for just a moment. Let's see. I want to get to this. Okay. So here we go. Okay. So now we'll go back to this. So I wanted to show you the website and show you what we have on there that you may not know of, the resource that is there. So this is our website. You can look under Nudge Away Diabetes, or you can look under iediabetes.org. IE stands for Inland Empire. So 5 years ago, I got a pre-med at that time. This is kind of how she got into med school, was to come up with this website. So it's quite good. It goes through quite a few different things as to what we do. Again, this is all done for free. So she put this all together, and we have quite a few YouTubes on there. We have things on nutrition. If you want to learn, it's all kind of here. Different lectures and stuff that we have. I have some lectures here too. But what I wanted to, and I just did want to show you her. So her name's Margaret Yao. She's a third-year medical student. This is her right here. And she's going to go into psychiatry. And so I'm with something called the Future Physician Leader Programs. And so this is how I met them. And they had this poster that was totally wrong. And I kind of called them on it and said, if you really want to know, let's try to change the world. So some of you might know Dr. Bagangito. This is his daughter that was on it. So it's very exciting that we've done this. But getting back to what's on the website that you may not know about is it does have the virtual meetup like we're doing tonight. So if you ever wanted to invite somebody to this, just send them to nudgeawaydiabetes.com and you can get the link. And then what's interesting is it does have a brochure. So if you wanted to download our brochure, this is our trifold that we're making paper copies of, but you can actually just download it yourself and it gives you the start. So this is our little trifold. So those of you that are professionals and wanted a sort of a handout to give to people pretty quick, this can do it. And we have a little bit on nutrition. But what I'm pretty excited about, let's get back to this, is actually on this first page, when you get it, the landing page, if you go to download our free workbook, this is a 30-page workbook that is absolutely free because of the Lions that we put together, that is something I can give to a diabetic and get them started down this road. So it doesn't have a lot of writing, it has a little bit, talks about the introduction of what is type 2 diabetes and what this workbook is all about. And a lot of this is not so much knowledge, but behavior. It's like, how do you get people to change their views and change their habits and behaviors? And a lot of it is writing down. So this is actually a paper thing that they can use. This is the mission statement of Lions Club International: to empower volunteers to serve their community, meet humanitarian needs, encourage peace, and promote international understanding through the Lions Club. So I really salute the Lions that are in attendance. And then the Lions Diabetes Camp mission statement: diabetes management with strong emphasis on independence, self-care, peer learning, and relationship building for emotional support. So we're very proud of our program. And what we've instituted is what we're calling the 5M program. We think there's 5 M's to nudge away diabetes. You need to talk about meals, like don't snack. So we're very big on, just like when your parents told you, don't, eat that'll wreck your dinner. You want meals, not snacks. And you can have 3 meals a day. Ideally, you can get to 2 meals a day. I usually 1 meal a day. But the idea is that meals matter and that diabetes is a nutritional disease. It should be treated with nutrition. You want to monitor. There's a lot of good meters, both episodic ones that are finger stick, but also constant glucose monitors that really change everything. We do like medications, but we think of medications kind of like an ankle brace. Use it for a little while until you learn your diet. We like a lot of movies and we can give them to you. And then these meetups like what we're doing. So with our 30-page book, we're going to ask you why and this is what we do at our camps. What do you want to get out of what you're doing? When do you want to start? Because really to have a goal without a plan is only a dream. That goals are relevant when you really put specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, timely statuses to them. And so this is our 21-day diabetes program. Now, it's not a hard and fast. 21 days is only a suggestion, and it can be extended if needed. So we do recommend that you talk with your doctor. We're not entering into a medical recommendation program, but we want to have some resources for you. So what's probably the biggest question people ask, well, what should I eat? If you're telling me this is bad and that is bad, what should I eat? And this is a family doctor who is out of Seattle. And if you get a chance, it's really good to watch him. But he makes it pretty simple. He calls it meal, M-E-A-L. That M stands for meat or any animal product, especially like fish and chicken, eggs, added oils or fats for cooking, and then leaves. That the only good carbohydrate is a high fiber carbohydrate. If you just stuck to this and ate as much of this as you wanted, like eat to satiety, don't try to overeat, but just eat until you're not hungry anymore, you will do amazing, because this is a very low carb, consistent nutrition program that is essentially a Mediterranean style diet. So these are some of the things in this handout that we have. These are some of the things. I really focus on three things when I'm trying to talk with folks: is what you eat, when you eat, how much you eat. Understand calories count, but they count last. And then these are the movies we recommend to watch. There's some YouTubes. And then the biggest thing I find for diabetics is you got to get audibles on your phone. And so on your phone, there's what's called apps, and you can get something called audibles, so you can listen to the book. It used to be called books on tape, but we don't have tape anymore. And of all the books, if you had one thing to listen to, if you haven't listened to these books over the holiday, is this one, The Big Fat Surprise: Why Butter, Meat, and Cheese Belong in a Healthy Diet. So what I usually do is I get people to do essentially three things. I get them to listen to this book so they're not afraid of eating butter, meat, and cheese. I have them watch movies, and the most important movie I think is Fat Fiction. It's on Amazon Prime. And then the final thing is we try to get them to sign up for Diet Doctor. Diet Doctor is the #1 low carb website in the world. It's got over 500 YouTubes. It costs $10 a month. The first month is free. And if I can get people to listen, watch, and sign up, they're well on their way to nudging away diabetes. And then what always comes out is when you went to school is like, okay, well, how am I getting graded and how am I doing? And so this is what we came up with on this is what a diabetic report card looks like, where we want their hemoglobin A1C ideally below 5.5 without any medicines. We want their blood sugar to be under 100. We want good feet sensation. We want good cholesterol profile, especially with their good cholesterol above 60. We want good kidney function above 90. And then we want their body mass index under 25, so that it's sort of right in this A range, which is 18 to 25. And then these are the things that most of your doctors are going to want you to do. So this kind of gives them an idea. And then the way we start this is a 3-step process. We actually recommend you slow down your carbs. You don't go low carb, just slow down. 6 days a week, try to stay away from the GPS, the grains, the potatoes, and the sugars. And then once a week, you can have cheat day. You can have anything you can want. You can have every Hostess product. You can have anything you want. And the reason is that there's a psychological addiction to sugar. And if you could just get to 6 days, 1 day off, you can't really sabotage too much. Most people lose about 20 pounds on this sort of situation. But ultimately what we find is because every time you go on a cheat day, you get sick. And at some point you get sick of being sick and you will stop and want to go on a low carb diet. So this is slow carb, and we give you the list of the things to do. So 6 days a week, you stay away from the white carbs, bread, rice, pasta, cakes, cookies. The big surprise is fruit. Fruit is just sugar. Unfortunately, I see many Filipinos out there, we like our papaya, we like our bananas, we like those sorts of things, but at the end of the day, they're just sugar. So you really have to understand that sugar is non-essential, sugar is detrimental. You need to put a kibosh on it if you can. But what is good and what satisfies you is oily, salty type foods. So actually we like coconut oil, olive oil, butter, those sorts of things. You can have meat. It's the less processed, the better. Fish, poultry, those sorts of things. And if you're gonna have vegetables and you're gonna have carbohydrates, make them high fiber, above the ground green vegetables. So these are some ideas that you can have. and we actually have a Spanish version. So this is very nice, and again, free to people to download. And then you can write this down and we can coach you. And then from there, if you really want to go all in, then you can do a low carb diet. And a low carb diet is less than 50 grams. Note that most Americans get like 400 grams of carbs. But if you can get less than 50 grams, then you start to really get away from burning carbohydrates as your preferred fuel, and you're starting to burn your own fat. And so this is a low carb diet. You have to be very careful that if you don't drink enough fluid and you don't use electrolytes and salts, you'll get pretty lightheaded. So we want to do this slowly, but I sort of joke that the easiest thing on this is not so much to stop carbs, but add healthy fats. Add your olive oils, your coconut oil, avocado oil, Kerrygold butter, and this works really well. And then once you do this, if this is working, great. If you want even more, and this is our whole list of low carb type stuff, then if you really want to get super, super serious, and I'm not saying you have to, but if you wanted to, you can do the very low carb diet, which is less than 20 grams. And this is one that gets you into full fat burning, which is called ketosis. So ketosis is just a fancy term for fat burning. So instead of burning carbohydrates and always being hungry, you're burning fats. And this works well. You try to get less than 20 grams. You can actually, guess like you have a blood sugar meter, you can get a ketone meter, and you want to keep your ketones between 0.5 and 3. So this is way different than ketoacidosis. Type 1 diabetics actually have problems where they get into like a level of 20. So we do not want you to get to ketoacidosis, but well-formulated nutritional ketosis is quite healthy, and it works out really well. So in the end, we've been very excited with this whole plan. We do have resources for you. We highly recommend people listen to the diabetes book. That gives you more granular ideas. The Big Fat Surprise was the one I recommended. And then at the end of the day, those of us here with gray hair, we're not looking to get big and buff. We want to live long and lean. And so this book, again, by Jason Fung, talks about this, because what we're trying to do is put a stress on all the 5 chronic diseases. And the 5 chronic diseases are heart disease, cancers, strokes, diabetes, Alzheimer's. Did you know that Alzheimer's is considered type 3 diabetes? So it's really interesting that all of the chronic diseases, which we in the United States have a big challenge with, are not fixed with a pill, potion, or procedure. It's really with lifestyle. So with this sort of program, we're trying to give people the research in a resource that can help them change their behavior and, again, nudge away their diabetes. So with that, we're very, very proud of what we're doing. I'm very indebted to the Lions for really pushing this. And we're very excited that we can get this out. You know, diabetes is 1/3 the healthcare dollars. And it really is just an ignorance of knowing what your fuel should be. So just like when you go to the gas station, I once put regular gas in a diesel truck. That didn't work so well. I broke down on Winchester. Those of you from Temecula know where Winchester is. Carbohydrates in humans is not going well. It literally is like the difference between a glass of water and a tsunami. Glass of water is very healthy. Tsunami is not good. Same with sugar. You have a little sugar, not bad. You take a tsunami, not good. So we're very excited, and with that, I'll entertain any questions.
Okay, let me unmute. So you can unmute yourself. But when we're talking carbohydrates, a lot of you're going to hear out there, oh, well, this food has fiber, so let's remove the fiber of all the carbs, and then you have so-called net carbs. And Dr. Hizon can talk a little bit more of that. We don't care about net carbs. We care about carbs, correct? And we care about total carbs.
You can absorb it. So people have gotten into trouble because they think it's okay and they eat way too many carbs. So the net carbs was the thought that you're not absorbing that much, but it's highly variable. So it's easier just to keep it simple. Just count every carb as a carb.
Yeah. And the labels, nutritional labels have that. It has the total carb already on it. Some of them have also sugar. Stick with what it says, total carbs, and that's what we need to count, total carbs. Okay. So now we have about 30 minutes now, and I would like this to be now an interactive. So because you're all very shy and you don't pose questions, I'm going to start calling names. And
Well, there is one question in the chat.
oh, there is. I'm sorry.
What is there about red light therapy? And so,
Okay.
Marcia, I'm not sure exactly what you mean, but there is infrared light. So I actually have a whole TED talk on light. And you can see my glasses are tinted because I'm trying to protect myself from unbalanced blue light. But red light therapy is actually quite good. It's infrared, like some of you have been in a sauna before. So I'm very, very big on light as medicine. And I like those of you that have tinted glasses. We just have to respect light. And there is some thought that computers are causing diabetes because of what they do to our hormones. So just kind of learn about light. If you wanted to, I do have a other website on sleep, i.e. sleep.org, and it can tell you a little bit more about that. But I'm a big fan of just thinking of light as medicine. And I think it's one more piece of the puzzle. It's not just nutrition. It's not just exercise. I think it's our whole lifestyle.
Thank you, because nobody else knew what it was, and I bought one, and I think it's wonderful, but everyone thinks I'm crazy. But the only thing I found bad about it is it was expensive, but it really isn't, because like you said, it makes me not eat as much carbs. I get better sleep, and I was eating bananas because I needed the potassium, but with COVID, I don't get as much sunlight as I used to have. But this thing seems to make everything go back in balance, and the only thing I have to figure out is the vitamin B12 stuff and but I appreciate you at least knowing about it, and because every time I do something new, people always tell me I'm nuts, and then 20 years later someone says, oh, you're on an insulin pump? Oh. So thanks, that was great. And I'm interested in that book because I know I eat way more carbs because I know how many carbs I count every day, so I'm going to look into that.
Yeah, so if you're interested, I'll give you the name. I'll put it into the chat for everybody. But what you want to look at, there's a guy who's sort of the tops in the world at this. His name is Jack Cruz, and he is a neurosurgeon. And if you're at all interested in this, you can go to YouTube, and what you want to look at is his Vermont 2017 talk on light. So interesting, in fact, my son is studying for his hematology final tomorrow, that when you, and again, I may show this to you, but if you look at our hemoglobin molecule, and then this just gets kind of off track a little bit, but and you look at chlorophyll. So we know that chlorophyll is what's in animals, but if you don't mind, can I share at all?
Oh yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah. So this is pretty mind-boggling. Think about, so if you look at chlorophyll and you look at human blood, the only difference is the iron in the middle. We have iron in the middle, and plants have magnesium.
Magnesium.
And so the theory is that we need light. We don't need too much light, but we need a certain amount of light that's very, very helpful to us. And as you know, we all feel better. Like if you go on vacation, you go to someplace that has reasonable light. And what is really kind of interesting in all of this is something, and again, this gets a little bit off topic, but not too far, that all of this comes out to be something called mitochondria. So I'm not sure if anyone's heard about this before, but mitochondria are in all our cells, and that's how we get energy. At the end of the day, what we're trying to do is improve our energy. People who are tired have low energy. We get energy from the mitochondria, and there's ways to improve mitochondria, and this is all lifestyle. So when you get down to the crux of it, we're trying to improve our energy, and the way we do it is by improving our mitochondria. So, you know, the nutrition is at a big level. As you get down, you can really get into the weeds, and it gets very excited. But that's why I'm real big, and I have a YouTube channel on wellness. I look at 7 things for wellness. I look at nutrition, which we're talking about, but exercise, sleep. I look at your water environment, the around electromagnetism you're around, community engagement is very important, and then of course light. Some guy, you know, said that he was the light of the world. That light is the most important thing out there, but we don't understand it that well. So this gets into the realm of what's called quantum physics. Mm-hmm. So I'm very excited. If I won the lottery, I would just become a quantum physicist, physician, a quantum clinician. But I'm very excited for the future that we're starting to look at these, because the challenge with medicine is we're only taught medicines. We're not taught quantum physics. We're not taught nutrition. We're really, that's why I do sports medicine. We weren't taught exercise. So this all is going to get excited, and this new generation of doctors, I think, will take this, and we can't keep doing what we're doing. This isn't working. And now that the research is coming out, it's just a matter of time, I feel, before it becomes part of the guidelines.
Yes, and I want to add, I listened to Dr. Cruz, and very interesting. We don't spend enough time outdoors, especially the ones that we sit at our desks or look at a dentist here. We spend a long time inside, and this doctor actually encourages people to be outdoors and do your job outdoors. And what is best than just go for a walk, right? So here in California, we are very blessed. We have a lot of sun, except when it's windy, but we can go outside, we can do our walk, we can take the sun, the vitamin D, and we don't have to be on the computer all the time or artificial lights. Very interesting today, I heard on the TV about this generation of kids and high schoolers that have to spend their time in their computer because they're studying, and how much, you know, they are really doing activities outdoors. And unfortunately, we are under special circumstances, but keep in mind, those kids are growing up and being very all the time on the computer and studying. So take a break, go outside, do some walk, be outside on the sun, get a jacket on, and that will be a good break.
Yeah, let me show you, if you don't mind, this one video. And so again, we want to Goldilocks our light. You don't want too much light, but you don't want too little. But let me show you a little bit about vitamin D, which is actually in Davao in the south of the Philippines was the first article showing low vitamin D increase your risk of death by COVID. But let me just show you this and a couple other resources. It takes a second.
Did you know that 80% of Americans are vitamin D deficient? Vitamin D has gotten a tremendous amount of attention in recent years, with research indicating both the risks of
So low vitamin D is increased risk of diabetes.
Vitamin D deficiency, as well as the benefits.
And see, the benefits is you improve your blood pressure control
Of vitamin D in
and
your
blood
body.
sugar control.
This includes a direct link between optimal vitamin D levels and reduced cancer risk.
And this is where I went to med school. So we like to think of ourselves as the Sunshine Med School, Andy.
Nice.
Your best source of vitamin D is the sun. The body generates vitamin D from the sun's UVB rays, which only enter the atmosphere when the sun is at an elevation angle from the horizon of greater than 35 degrees. This means that you can only get vitamin D in the middle of the day, even in the sunniest of places. As the sun climbs, the rate of vitamin D generation goes up until it reaches the top position, called solar noon. This is the time of maximum UVB rays and hence maximum vitamin D generation. Once the sun reaches the 35-degree line again in the afternoon, UVB rays stop entering the atmosphere. It's important to note that the sun's UVA rays continue entering the atmosphere and can damage the skin. So people who think getting sun outside the middle of the day is a good idea are actually missing the chance to get vitamin D, yet still risk damaging their skin.
So interestingly, and this is what my TED Talk talks about, all the skin cancers are caused early and late in the day with UVA. The UVB is how you get the vitamin D. Now, interestingly, in this,
in addition to the solar angle, your location.
What's nice that is available, and again, we don't want you to get a sunburn, but what is helpful is there is a free app called D-Minder. And interestingly, you can get this app, and what it does is lets you know based on what you're wearing and what kind of skin type you have, how long you can be in the sun without getting a sunburn and causing cancer. So if you're at all interested in this, it's called D-Minder. It's a free app. It tells you what the sun is in your area. You then put in what kind of skin type you have. Like if you're albino, well, I have a Fitzpatrick skin type of 0 or 1 because you burn so quick. But if you're like from Equatorial Guinea and super black, you can be in the sun a long, long time. And then if you're wearing shorts and a t-shirt, you could be in a certain amount of time. But I like the idea that we at least have some idea to get sensible sunlight. And again, I am definitely not saying get a sunburn, but at least I think what we should do is think of light as medicine, and it's dose related. And if you're from Northern European ancestry, it actually has to do with your mom's mitochondria, then you shouldn't be in the sun for very long, but you do need a tiny bit of sun. So what we encourage you to do is actually protect your face, because our faces get way too much sun, but maybe have a tiny bit in the middle of the day. And there actually are clothing, there's shirts that allow vitamin D to go through. So it's just a thought that, people are trying to eat well, move well, sleep well, but I think Lydia's right. I think the idea that people stay indoors all day, don't get good sleep, basically that's how we used to torture people. So it is good to get some sensible sunlight, but you have to be smart about it. But I'm very excited, especially for people who are depressed. It's good to get sunlight. It just really changes your mood.
Yep.
Any
Good
other
topic.
questions?
Good topic. Go ahead, Phil. Go ahead.
Got a simple question. We've heard numerous studies saying that you shouldn't be drinking diet sodas or sodas in general. But I was noticing on Diet Coke, there are no carbs on Diet Coke.
Correct. There's no carbs, but there's basically, artificial sweeteners. So that keeps your sugar addiction, number one, and it still raises your insulin. And if you have a constant glucose monitor, drink a Diet Coke and you'll see your blood sugar go up. Because it's not really officially, it has to do with what stimulates your insulin. And so it doesn't have carbs, but it has other things that are stimulating insulin. So, and I have never seen anyone lose weight on Diet Coke. That's just me. I don't know, maybe somebody has. So, and I do think of kind of like, stevia and some of these other sort of sweeteners. Essentially, again, there's a reason I have very few friends. I think it's methadone for sugar addicts. I mean, people are addicted to sugar. And the problem is if you drink Diet Coke, you're still going to have a sweet tooth. And what we want to do is switch from sweet to savory. But everyone's got to, find their fuel. So if that works for you, fine. There are some others, and that's something we might want to do is look at doing one of these, Lydia, on all the different artificial sweeteners. There's
Yes, I
one
do have some.
Allactose that may be the least bad. So again, I think everyone should figure out what works for them. But I just I'm very impressed by how bad Diet Coke is for diabetics.
And it also has color, and that color also is a bad thing that stimulates the insulin, and again, makes us addiction. So that color that is the Coke color, that's not good for us,
Phil, that's a very good point, and that's what was very frustrating.
Yeah.
And the key in all of this, when you're having any sort of question, just ask, what does it do to insulin? It has nothing to do with calories. It literally has nothing to do with carbs. It's just that carbs stimulate insulin more than anything. type 2 diabetes is hyperinsulinemia. It's too much insulin. Anything you can do to, so even if you eat good stuff, if you eat it frequently throughout the day, that stimulates insulin. So that's why we want a very narrow food window. But just when in doubt, follow the insulin.
Yeah.
Have you had a talk on electrolyte drinks? Because that's something I'm also curious about.
Don't know if we specifically had it, but that would be a very good topic.
Yes.
And what, if you are interested in I've had 2 hospitalizations just for this. So if you get a chance, if you're at all interested, this is a good book to listen to, because frankly, we're afraid of salt and we're in love with sugar. And so this book is called The Salt Fix. And so the more salt you eat, the less sugar you desire. So electrolytes are another way to say salt. If we put you in the hospital, we give you an IV of electrolytes, which is basically salt. Interestingly, our body can get rid of excess salt, it can't make it. So the whole idea that salt is bad for you came from the idea that sugar and salt are bad because sugar is bad. If you take away the sugar, you take away the starch, it actually is quite good for your blood pressure. So again, if you have congestive heart failure, if you have kidney pain, you definitely shouldn't do this. But I like people in a perfect world to switch their taste from sweet to savory. That's why I'm kind of against the Diet Coke. Sorry, Philip, I didn't mean to kind of jump down your throat and all that. But if you can get to savory, because see, if you eat too much, if you don't eat enough salt, you'll get cramps. You eat too much salt, you'll actually get diarrhea. I mean, that's kind of what milk of magnesia does. Yep. So our body can get rid of excess salt, it just can't make it. So that's why it's important to get enough salt. And when you go on a low carb diet, you lose a lot of water and salt, so you need to salt up. Put it this way, I put salt in my coffee. I don't put sugar, I put salt in my coffee. It's just a crazy life, but it works out really well. And drinking salty water or broth keeps you from being hungry. So again, whatever was up is down and down is up. And I think everyone, a lot of you are from the 60s, question authority, just like you did back in the 60s, and try to figure out what works for you. Don't believe us doctors for everything. Measure, and then you can manage, and then together you can find out what would be your fuel.
Thank you, because I agree that doctors are licensed to practice, but I don't want them practicing on me. I want them to know.
Well, we'll never get there, unfortunately.
But now I'm questioning about the vaccination for the COVID, yes or no. And I hear all my friends that have taken it already and things that I'm asking them how they feel. But I don't understand exactly. I'm taking it for me to prevent me from getting it, or if I have to take it every 6 months, I don't know if that's worth it, or I don't get really. And well, I understand how it gets in the cells with the one from England, so I would only want to do the American one. It doesn't have to be in that cold temperature issue.
Yeah, well, the big challenge is, besides diabetes loving carbohydrates, COVID likes carbohydrates. The only people that are passing away in our hospital are the people who have uncontrolled diabetes. Not that they have diabetes, they have uncontrolled diabetes. The big thing I think on the vaccination is the risk-benefit ratio between, is it more risky to get the vaccination versus the risk of getting the coronavirus? The coronavirus is deadly for certain subpopulations, the elderly with metabolic disease, high blood pressure, obesity, diabetes. So that's what you have to look at. And the coronavirus infection is not totally innocuous. There is some residual muscle damage that's caused by it. So for someone like myself, I'm going to probably get it. I'll probably get in the second tier because I'm not one of the first responders. I'm sort of a second responder as an outpatient. But I think everyone needs to kind of look at that and see what's the risk of me passing away of the coronavirus versus the risk from the vaccination. We're very excited about the vaccination as an option. The goal would be to do everything we can to sort of get over this horrible pandemic.
Yep, that's true.
Well, I agree with that, but I don't want to see like 5 years from now we're watching TV or something and it says, if you took this COVID test back in this day, then you know how they always say with every other thing you took and then it was fine, and then when you do it, it messes you up. So that's what I was wondering. I would have liked it to be more testing, although skipping the animal testing in a way is good because they're already testing on humans. It's like the Apple. It's like the Apple upgrades. I never do it until I wait till everyone else does it to see if something's going to go wrong.
I think you're right about that because
I agree. I agree with her because this COVID vaccine has been so fast to generate and not enough time to see what's the reaction on somebody's bodies. So within approximately probably a year, 2 years, you'll see something will come up defective.
Yeah, it's just
I
really.
told you I had to get the shingle shot in 2008, and that would be good. I would get it, and I wouldn't have to get it again. Now they say, oh no, now you got to get it now again, and you got to get 2 in a row, and so and it's expensive because Medicare doesn't cover that. So it's like absolutely. So I'm thinking, well, there again, do I weigh the chance of getting shingles, or do I? So I don't know, but I don't like a whole bunch of vaccinations in a row. I'm not anti-vax. I get the flu shot, but I'm just trying to understand the purpose of doing this. Is it going to make it so I don't get, or I get a less case of it if I get COVID? So I don't know.
Yeah, so there's a lot of resources I can give you for that. Peter or Tia does a good job of that. But interestingly, this is an mRNA virus, a vaccination, and it does have potential. I'm definitely in the same camp. There hasn't been a lot of research on it. However, we're going to be giving it to tens of millions of people. And most of us in this room are not going to get it right away. We're going to give it to our hospital next week. So we'll have time to look at what happens after you take it to 1 million people. And then I think you as an individual have to look at what's my risk of damage from getting the coronavirus? Because a lot of people, the young people, it's not a big deal for them. So you could argue that they don't really need the vaccination. Whereas for some of us, it can be quite deadly. So that's where I think it is an individual's right. And that's why they're not mandating it for first responders, because there is a lot of uncertainty to it. In general, it takes 20 years to get a vaccine, and they did it in 8 months. So did they cut corners? Yes. But on the other hand, it is probably our best opportunity to get out of this horrible pandemic. On the flip side, that's why we're trying to do the diabetes, because if I can help sort of on the upstream control the diabetics, they don't pass away of it.
Yeah. Okay, you are on mute, Ms. Nash. You are on mute. Were you talking? You are still on mute.
This is Stephanie. I just want to say hi, Marsha. Hi. I was at another meeting on Zoom, so I made it. Hi, Lydia.
Okay. Hi.
Thank you. This has been the best thing I've done, Seth, because the doctor was talking in my wavelength. So thank you. He's not just telling me you're on the best pump there is, just live with it. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Nash, you are on.
Yes, I have 2 questions. Is it okay to get your regular yearly flu shot and the COVID? I mean, close together. I'd like to get the shot as soon as possible. And then secondly, I've always had trouble keeping my numbers down with I'm on insulin, about 30 units, and then I take a bunch of pills, but I've had a hard time getting my numbers down. But it was funny, last night we had ham. My husband got a ham, and so I had about 3 pieces of just plain old ham, and this morning my numbers were 101, so I was very happy. So do I eat that every day, or?
Sure. No, I think so. You want to get the flu shot for the influenza as soon as possible. It should have been done in October, so I would get that right away. And then more than likely, it's going to be at least several weeks before those of us in the regular public are going to get the other vaccination. We do think there's going to be a double flu shot, although the influenza rate has been quite low because we think the corona is sort of pushing it away a little bit. But then in terms of your numbers, it all correlates to how many grams of carbs you're getting in. So if you can figure out the carbs, and ham has very little carbs, you can see how good that is for you. Big thing is to be very careful that if you're on insulin and you go on a low carb diet, 1 + 1 = 3 in this regard, you could get your blood sugar too low, and that's very dangerous. So
Oh, I've
measure,
never
measure,
had
measure, and when in doubt, talk with your doctor about what to do for that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mike?
Yeah, I've got a question for Dr. Heesen and Dr. Ariola. You guys seeing patients every day, do you, or is there a physical abnormality that shows up either in the mouth for Dr. Ariola or anything Dr. Heesen does that you can see and say, hey, maybe this is something weird, we should check it out, or is it strictly in the blood?
For COVID, you mean?
Yeah, for COVID or something that, simple diabetes that you can actually catch, actually see.
Well, Andy, go ahead if you want to.
I see. I actually just saw a patient yesterday, and it was interesting because he had extensive gum and periodontal disease issues when he came into me. What we do is we actually measure what's called pocket depths in what we do. And of course, I talked to him and I said, he was on metformin, I believe, and he's, was overweight. And so I actually tried to direct him over to our little get together here because I said, I can see, when was your last time? He said his insurance changes between doctors. So I said, really, you need to probably see about getting controlled better. But it does show up for us in a little bit of an uncontrolled periodontal gum disease issue. You can see that very highly in patients that have diabetes, and even patients that are uncontrolled better, they're going to have a higher susceptibility to that. I talked about this a couple of weeks back on my talk, that we see that there's a higher risk for extensive bleeding even after extraction. It's a higher extent for bone loss and gum inflammation, and then it's also a higher propensity that if we want to try to do replacement of teeth with, say, implants, the patients I've done implants on and the ones that have failed were either smokers, number one, or diabetics. So it's kind of interesting how that has been talked about. So we usually make sure they're either controlled. They either don't smoke. I won't do really implants pretty much in smokers anymore because of that. And I make sure that they're highly under control with their medical doctor and where their A1C is and things like that when we're going to do an implant. So it does show up in our aspect quite a bit. That's about all I have on that, Jerry.
Yeah, so we have quite a few different things. This might get a little gross, so we're almost done, right? We got 30 seconds. So there's just a bunch of these different rashes you'll see. So big words, but basically diabetes has a whole host of different things. So when people come in with these kinds of things, I'm always got my antennas up looking at it, that these sort of things go along with diabetes. And something as simple as skin tags can do that. You also get this really darkish skin that you'll see. So that, as well as just basically numbness. So I'll stop all these little pictures. But yes, Mike, to get back to you, there is quite a bit that we look at. And so that's why I think when you have suspicion, the easiest thing is just do a blood sugar and see where it's at. And that's why we're very excited that we can start to pick this up. And we have something that's non-pharmacologic we can offer to them, which is called lifestyle. And the food's really good. It's just frankly weird.
Well, we are almost done, but we are not going to have a meeting until the first Wednesday of January, and we are doing the sessions in January. So it is what I have here. I have January 6th on my calendar, and I will be posting reminders if anything changes. We might get Dr. Santano, the food doctor, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Would be interesting for him to participate. We'll see what we have, but keep keep coming and keep connected. And we need to lay off the pie and the eggnog and and all the good things.
The dose makes the toxin, just a little bit.
Just a little bit, just a little bit.
But also, if you guys have anything you want us to go over, I mean, as you can see, I'll just chatterbox. So if you guys don't give me direction, I'll just kind of keep doing what I'm doing.
I have noted here, and I have a whole talk on artificial sweeteners, and we also would like to talk about electrolytes. So those are good things, and we can add to this list if you guys have anything interested. Also, if you feel that you want me to send you the PDF of the workbook, let me know. I will blast it again, and that way you can print it, or you can save it in your computer and look at, after the holidays or when you are ready to start, okay? So I will put myself a note right here. Well, I want to wish everybody a happy holidays, and thank you very much for, even if 2020 has their consequences, we were able to do this, which is awesome because it's via Zoom. We have people from Virginia, people from Los Angeles, people from San Diego. So this is awesome. I really, we have the ups and downs, but this is one of the good things that we have done in 2020.
Thank you.
How do we get the book?
The
Once
book
again,
is
how much?
and I will send you the link if you wish. And I'll send the link to everybody on a blast, and then you can click there. And if you have an Amazon account, you can actually go there and buy it from there, and they'll ship it to your house. Okay?
Crazy, it comes real fast.
Somebody has to.
How much is it again?
It's around $20, $19.99.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's a good
All right,
Christmas
guys. Thank you. Happy holidays, and we'll see you in 2021. Okay.
Thank you very much for all your knowledge and
A
help.
good topic.
Good
topic tonight.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Happy holidays. Enjoy
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas,
Christmas.
everyone.
Have a great holiday to everyone.
Bye-bye.